All right. Well, let's just jump in. So what's going on?
Cool. So I sat down yesterday. I did a bunch of digging on my own, but also spoke to Evan, who's the head of sales engineering. He owns a bar, works at Lightspeed, kind of a good person to talk to. Um, so we have two options on the Lightspeed restaurant platform. Like just running through the business. When I told him that we're even considering using Vend, he was like, I can see too many red flags for a poor experience for you guys. So we have a product called Lightspeed Restaurant, and there's two versions of it.
Lightspeed
Um,
Restaurant? Is that what you said?
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
Lightspeed Restaurant,
Okay.
and there's two versions essentially. One is called L and one is called K. Don't ask me why they're letters, but they both have their pros and cons. After running through the business and what you guys would need based on our call, my recommendation is going to be L, but I'll explain to you both. So I'll start with L. It's been around longer from a platform, so it's in terms of its like little quirks and everything, it's going to be a lot easier for us to speak about things. I think it's just a safer bet. It also has the integration with online ordering, which is that QR code or online order that you guys were looking for. Um, it's not as tight, the online ordering, as on K, but I think everything else will outweigh that because the tabs are easier to use on L. Payment processing with tip on terminal has already been fully defined on L. And we have our partner BevSpot that integrates on L, which is going to be for all of your liquor management and inventory. But also on L, we have the integration for 7Rooms, which I know is big for you. K being in your platform, there's still a lot of deals being drafted in terms of integrations. So the only advantage to moving to K would be that, so specific to online ordering or the QR ordering, is on L, the table, so it'll come in as a delivery on the delivery table, and then it'll say the table number in the notes. So it'll say, hey, you just got an order in through a QR code, and then in the notes, it'll say table 1. On
So,
K,
I'm so
it'll
sorry.
populate on table.
So to reiterate,
Mm-hmm.
the guests can be in the obviously they're in the speakeasy or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll have like a little thing where they can scan a QR code and order their drinks from the
Yeah.
mixologist online. Essentially, he will then make
Yeah.
up the drinks, and the server will be able to bring the drinks to the guest.
Correct. The workflow, the only difference between L and K for that is the workflow.
Okay.
On L, the order would come in on a table called delivery because it's technically a delivery platform. And in the notes, it'll say this was ordered from table 1. So then
Love
the
it.
mixologist would make it. Go ahead.
Oh no, I said I love it. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. And then the waiter or whoever's bringing the drink over would be able to see, okay, this drink is good. The note says table 1. I'll bring it to table 1. On K, it's a little bit cleaner where it actually associates the order to the table directly, which is a great feature. The only problem is that we drop the tip on terminal, we drop the tabs, we drop the 7Room integration, and it is a new platform for us. And I'm worried that since you guys are going to be hitting the ground running so hard, that I want to avoid like, oh, this is new, let me check with a product expert and get back to you in a day or two. I want you guys to be able to call support and be like, hey, I need to troubleshoot this now.
Okay, and so here's my one question, just asking. So
Yeah.
with 7Rooms and everything integrated in now, when the guest who's made the reservations on 7Rooms comes in
Mhm.
and they start ordering, does that system equate it? Like, for example, my husband and I have a reservation for 7 o'clock tonight.
Mhm.
We obviously come in and we go sit down at table 2 and we start ordering for table 2.
Mhm.
Is there a way that does it know that, okay, at the end of the night, I'm looking at the report, Kim came in, Kim actually made a reservation, she was at table 2 tonight at 7 o'clock to whatever, ordering.
In the reporting for customer profiles, yes. So like if you guys are sitting down, I think there still needs to be a discussion with 7Rooms to see what gets pushed and pulled on both systems, because we pretty much open the door for them and then they build what they need to. So I think that conversation still needs to happen with them, just for you guys to fully understand like what I can expect. From a guest perspective, though, you can create customer profiles, so you can, like a waiter can go to a table and be like, cool, no problem, names. But even when you come in, if you have a reservation, it'll link, because you're gonna have your whole, basically you map out your whole restaurant on the iPad with little tables and seats. And then you can change the status of a table from like pending check, just sat down, being clean. Like you can manage that so that whoever's running the bar can look and say like, okay, I have a free table, I'm waiting for this reservation, this one's going to be cleared in about 15 minutes, they're just waiting to pay and leave. So in terms of table management, that's going to be super important, and that's something that you just can't do in bed.
So they're able to like go, okay, I guess just left from table two. Table two
Yeah.
is now clean, which communicates maybe out to my docent to let the next guest in.
Correct. What's cool is that the way I see your setup is there's going to be two quote unquote outlets. One is going to be the bar, one is going to be the speakeasy, just because you want them to run kind of independently when it comes to reporting.
Correct.
And then depending on how you want to run transactions, that'll just be like more of a finalizing question. But is each waiter going to have their own iPad where they're going to take payments on it, or is it going to be, and that's really just personal for you guys, or is it going to be like you're going to walk up to that point and pay there? Maybe there's one iPad that takes payment, and all the iPads are just for, maybe the general manager has an iPad to just monitor all the tables, just so that they can see what's going on. So as they're walking around, maybe they're in the back, maybe they're getting more bottles, that they can check and see. That just dictates how many registers you'll need, because a register license is needed to process a transaction, but nothing stops you from adding an iPad as more of a reference device.
Got you. So,
Right.
All right. So, registration license. Got it. Okay. So, obviously, there's several concerns with inventory and guest, experience or whatever. But there's also, I'm going to be transparent. I don't know if I was or not, but I am looking for a better way to do business for a couple reasons. One, these are small venues. They're not like some big, large bar. They're not. All right. Like one is 18 seats, obviously higher price, but 18 seats, 90-minute turnaround. And the other one is like up to 38. So, and that's more of like a bar kind of thing. So I'm in Union Territory. So essentially there's somebody for every job, including like one brushes hair, one picks nose, one, you know what I'm saying? So there's literally a person for every single job. And it's like I've explained to the union though, on the flip side of this, putting too many people in there will kill it for the employee too, right? Because people in F&B, although most of the time have a good starting wage, they really love their tips, okay? A lot of them, that's why they're in the business. You start having to pull tips and split with 8 million people, you're kind of SOL. Plus you have a smaller location. It isn't like it's limitless tips. So I was hoping to get away from, so for the 7 rooms piece, I like that the guest can make the reservation, and that helps me manage obviously the tables and who's got what at what time. And then also, of course, if they don't show up, I get to do the $25 fee or whatever, you know what I mean, per person for them not showing up and stuff. Because exactly. So part of this was I wanted to have the ability to sort of use the system to check itself in, kind of a thing. I don't want an employee doing that because it's not really that kind of room. It's kind of like, and it's not like, for example, when I sit down and think of this, and it'll maybe be the general manager that goes back and does this, where he's just like connecting dots. Like Kim Huff had a reservation at 7 o'clock. Kim Huff. That's why I asked if it was connected, so that I can see who actually showed up for their reservation. Okay, so that was the first thing. And I love the ordering, although I think for the guest experience piece, that's fantastic. I just think on the union piece, and I had already planned on having a server anyway, because I just don't see a way around it. I'm not going to have guests seeing their own tables, man. That's weird. So, so that part's good, although more of a guest experience feature. So I'm just like going through everything. I do love the ability for the mixologist I would say the server and the mixologist, right? Because there's going to be I think I have 8 seats at the bar. And
okay, so there's an overlap there.
Yeah, so there's so many seats at the bar, which is cool. Like to me, when I go to a speakeasy, I like to be closest to the mixologist. because I like to watch them make
It's the fun.
drinks, and like I like to talk to them, and I like to like hear about different taste profiles and things that I can order besides
Yeah.
the boring ass menu. Then there's my server who's handling, like, I think I have it at like 4 tables. It's not very big, it's just 4 tables. This is exactly why I didn't want 50 different employees in there. It
Yeah.
also kills my intimate concept, and it's an exhibition overall. So it's obviously
Mhm.
very new for the union. So this is not a casino in what we do. So this is a little different. So this person, I love the idea of the server having the iPad, even though the guest can order on their phones, right? But I love the idea of, is there any like benefit? So like when the guest, maybe this is more for, okay, when the guest sits down to do the ordering, that's through
Yep.
L, right? That's not 7 rooms anymore. That's L.
That's through, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's through Lightspeed. And maybe just to dive a little bit further into, because I think you nailed it, right? Like this whole concept revolves around guest experience. Like that's what this industry is. I've had really good food and a shitty service, and it's killed the whole dinner. I don't care how good that steak was. Like I'm not going back.
I
So
agree.
there's also a sales aspect to having the mixologist there, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the experience of it. They talk to you a little bit. They sell you a drink. You're like, wow, this drink is amazing. It just enhances everything. And having at least one person at the tables there to kind of like schmooze and make small talk and like have that experience for guests will increase the ticket. That's just it's going to happen. So I think that's important, and you don't want to remove that completely
No.
either. And that's kind of a balancing act on your end.
Yep.
From an ordering perspective, we also have something called kiosk where the waiter can just drop the iPad on the table and guests can just order off that and just keep ordering. We have a ton of different options based on the experience you want to give. The problem with that is you lose the intimacy of
No.
someone suggesting, and so I don't see that. What I think the next steps, or at least, because I think in terms of a system, you need a restaurant system. There's no getting around it.
Oh yeah, the tables.
Even
I think the question I had, and I talked to Caesars yesterday.
Mhm.
I had you're like, to do this, I had to create a very big study sort of training manual, which is fine, right? Because you have to give everyone a right to bid on it, blah blah blah, right? Part of this is a concept. Part of this is the interest phase. So there's different phases that go along with this. So I put this together along with the designer to put together the concept to try to put this on paper to teach people, right? Like the talking points for the cabinet. And the cabinet of curiosities are all these pieces of these exhibitions that we've done around the world. And each piece, like you know, for example, and there's tests with this too, like part of it, because we do IP with Downton Abbey, right? So like, who was the family's butler, like the main butler, and what's the difference between, you know, a footman versus you know, a chauffeur, you know, this because it's all part of that, right? Like that show and that movie and stuff. So we do the exhibition behind that, and we do Harry Potter, and so a lot of those things will be that room. Then you come into the speakeasy, which is kind of like a blast from the past in a modern day environment, right? So that's kind of, we're not going to get rid of the customer piece. What I had was, I don't want a maitre d'. To put this in perspective, okay, I want like this. There's this weird little room between the cabinet and the speakeasy. That's where the shh happens. Okay, that's where all the rules of engagement come to play. That's where you meet, and in this location, I've got this like bouncer docent person. He's not someone to give you booze. He's the person to make sure you're cool to even come in the door, because this isn't a place for people that are feds or narcs or anything like that, right? So there's kind of like this whole like
mystery
yes.
and
And you don't crowd it, like it literally is its own room, and it's literally like the bartender or the mixologist and the bouncer, you know, is it cool? Can I say, well, who's here? You know what I mean? Like kind of like a you know, kind of role play out.
If you know, you know, and if not, I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly,
get out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
cool.
then and the union's like, well, that's a matrix. I'm like, no, I don't, like, you're not hearing me. I don't want, this person's not there to check you in. They're to check you out.
Yeah.
This is part of us putting down our concept. This isn't. I just like when they're like, well, in Vanderpump, I'm like, no, I'm not having him sit at a podium no, it kills my whole thing. Like, no.
Yeah, it's funny that there's so much focus around like the nuance between, like you said, like a footman and a chauffeur, and then that nuance can't be made between like this person who's like a bounce out kind of guy, like a gatekeeper versus a maitre d', because like they're just there as a gatekeeper. That's it. They just open the door, but they will keep it closed if they have to.
Yep. Yep. And they're going to
That's all
be
very cool.
real to the role, man. Like if
Yeah,
you know
you have to, or else it loses its whimsy, right?
It does.
Loses the.
It does. Like there's this, like Mackenzie has this other thing where like at CES they have like done almost like it's a little machine that does like a little henna sort of tattoo, but it's like other like ingredients or whatever, so it's not anything you can be allergic to. And if you're cool to go, you get imprinted a lock, and you have to show that lock to even get in. So like there's you know what I mean, like you were here and we know you're cool, and yeah, but it's also a piece obviously for show and tell, right? Because you got to get in the lock, you got to get in, it's locked, right? So you got to get in to see what's on the other side. Anyway, it all goes with it, but the politics of a casino kind of try to damper that a little bit, and I'm pushing that the hell out. Which is why I'm like, no, I have a system that the guest does themselves. I don't need you to check anybody in. Like I don't want that at all.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense. Yeah.
It does, and like the point of sale is very flexible on our end. Like when we do the trainings and everything with you guys, it's like it can cater to. Like I have ice cream shops that use this. We have Michelin star restaurants that use this. I've got like the Jambalaya house that I just moved over, which is the 3 location. They sell 4 products, and like it can really, it's very malleable is what I'm trying to say. And I think what we need to do is see the conversation between 7 Rooms and Lightspeed, and see what information can I bank on being there, because then that's going to dictate the decisions I make from a staffing perspective and from an experience perspective.
Yep.
And then 2, I'm going to send you a recorded demo of the platform just to give you guys like a high level overview. I want you to sit down with Jordan, who's my go-to for demos. He works under Evan, but I bring him in on all the quote unquote fun projects because he's really creative when it comes to workflows. He's worked in restaurants. He's worked with 4 different restaurant point of sales. He's seen a lot, and he looks at things a little bit differently like I do, to like, how can we make this work instead of, well, this is what we have. And then from a tip perspective, just because you brought it up in the restaurant platform, there is tipping on terminal, but you do have the option to add a service charge, which could either be a flat amount or a percentage. So if you are worried, you could like let the guest know, hey, like you can tip if you're happy, but there is going to be a service charge, because if you do have to pay people out like X amount and you're kind of stuck to that, maybe saying, hey, you know what? Like you go back to union, we're going to do like a 3% service charge. It's really small, but at least everyone's going to get paid out on that. But the person, the mixologist who's there, like actually doing this, and my one guy, will call him, I don't know, like the experience manager of the speakeasy, who's going to be schmoozing and trying to increase that bill ticket. Maybe they run on tips, or maybe they split tips, but then there's a 3%. I don't know. There's different options for you to play around with that, but also track it, which is what's important.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be critical.
They brought that up yesterday in the meeting. Caesars was like, you know, they usually handle their own tips, but so my concern was this. They were telling me, because in my world where I come from, you don't touch the register, right? But in F&B world, that's a little different in the way that if you have a agreement where credit card tips, for example, are paid out of the till at the end of the night in cash, they do that here at Caesars. I have, you know, the rule of thumb in my world is you don't ever take anything out of the register and put it in your pocket. Okay, ever. So to me, I don't really like that. It makes me uncomfortable, but the other thing is like I explained to them, there's a bandwidth issue too, right? There's only me and one other, you know, like being here at the end of the night when the night may end at 4 a.m., I don't even know if I can do that. So I want to find a way, right? So like whether it's on the paycheck or whatever, and that tracking system is necessary. The other thing is, I do like the flat set amount. I want to talk to Mackenzie about it, but also letting the guests know, like, yeah, there's a service fee here, but I also like don't want them to think. I want them to tip them based on obviously how well they do, but also I like that I have options. Let's just leave it at that. I need to talk to Mackenzie about that. So you were saying,
Yeah.
So you're saying, so are you going to have Jordan? Should I hit up Jordan? Like, what's the plan? Sorry.
Yeah. So first thing, just because Mackenzie and Michael aren't here, I'm going to send you a recorded demo, just because I've said a lot of words, and you guys have had a lot of discussions internally too. So I think that having that kind of that anchor to be like, okay, this is what we're kind of looking at, and after the discussion between the different options we have, this is what makes the most amount of sense. Let's look at it from a high level and see if there's any red flags that we didn't think of, because as the demo runs through, you might say like, okay, this is for that, this is for that, this we need to dig into. And then what I'll do is I'm going to talk to Jordan and see what his schedule looks like. I'll send you guys a couple options to book him. I'll be there as well, just because I think it's important. Okay. And then we'll sit down with Jordan, we'll do an hour demo. And at least it's not going to be, because we have to move intelligently, but also a little quickly on this.
Yes.
What I don't want is to be asking questions that can be answered in just a recorded video I sent you, like how can we set up tables? What does that look like? You've already seen it, that we can really drill down with like a specific workflow of what you guys want to see. What does that look like in a point of sale?
Okay.
Because that's what's going to be important. So I just messaged Jordan. I think he's just in a demo. So he's actually writing back to me.
Then you want me to talk to 7 Rooms. I think we have a meeting with her today, actually.
Okay. Yeah, just to understand, so how does 7 Rooms work with Lightspeed? It's going to be easier for them to explain what they do specifically with us versus us trying to figure it out. Just to try and get all the information possible. Jordan might have a little bit info. Sorry, I'm typing to him now.
My bad, it's tomorrow, but okay, yes, I will ask her.
Cool. Yeah, because then I think with that, you guys will have everything that you need to kind of finalize and say, okay, this is what we need, this is what we're looking for from the system. And then the way it works is I'll send you the info to get started with Lightspeed. I think the important things are what hardware you're going to need, so that we can just go through at the end. It's little things like how many registers you're going to use, how many receipt printers do you need a kitchen printer? Is that a hot or cold kitchen? It'll dictate on the printers we do.
We don't have a kitchen, just a bar.
Perfect. So I think it'll just be, but sometimes people, what they'll do is they'll put a kitchen printer in the bar, so that the receipt printer is going to be when it's transactional, and the kitchen printer is like, or we can double print tickets out of the receipt. It just depends where you want that ticket to be shot at.
Gotcha. And
right, like,
I'm sorry, was this is in your demo too? Like it's going to explain each of these options, or like
high level?
Okay.
High level, but I think with Jordan, it's going to be important to understand the setup.
Okay.
And then we need the applications filled out for processing, because we're going to want the tip on terminal and all that fun stuff. And then what happens is we train you guys. Like, you're going to get an onboarding coordinator. It's going to be either Stefania or Alicia. I'll see who's available between the two of them. I work with them the most. And you'll have webinars that are like interactive trainings with, I think, 3 to 10 people, like other people. But then I think what we're going to need to book with you guys is one-on-ones with product specialists for specific workflows.
Okay. Okay.
So like, you'll get as much training as you need. It's just a question of
what we need.
It honestly comes down to commitment. No, because all the training's free and all that stuff. It's just a question of, I have some merchants that take like 3 months to go live, and they're like, oh, I'll do the training when I have time. I don't really care. It's like, well, you're paying for it. So, you're paying the monthly. So we try and do that as quickly as possible. You guys have less of a luxury of time.
Exactly.
So we'll work around that.
No, I've got to be able to explain this to other parties. So this isn't I can't lollygag.
No.
So
that's why we're going to record the demo that we do with you and Mackenzie, Michael, if you can come, and Jordan and myself, so that at least all those little questions will be in there. Jordan normally follows up with like hey, we spoke about XYZ, here are some videos of that.
Can I add one more person to that list, or no?
For sure.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to add Misty O'Connor to that. Okay.
I would add whoever is going to have a deciding impact on this project.
Okay.
The way I look at it is that if they're going to flip shit, I would invite them within reason.
Okay.
So yeah, that's not a problem. We'll send you the invite and then you can share the Zoom with whoever. I'm going to talk to Jordan as soon as he's done his demo.
Okay.
To see when we can book this.
Okay. Let me know, and then I will obviously have more information from Seven Rooms side tomorrow.
Yeah. Cool. So I think that hopefully if we can book Jordan for Friday, which is tomorrow. We'll see if we can get some time tomorrow, likely Monday. I'm hoping that everything is finalized by next week, so that we can start booking trainings. But I'm going to send you guys a recorded demo of the restaurant platform now, just so at least you guys can kind of sink your teeth to that.
Okay. Thank you. And talk to you soon.
Yeah. Last little thing. I know that this kind of put like a stick in the mud. Originally wanted to do.
Oh. NetSuite. Did you say it did or didn't integrate?
It does not integrate.
All right. So I've got that is a big one.
Yeah.
And that's K2, L, or K. None of them.
Neither, because NetSuite is really retail specific, and the way restaurants operate are so different that it's. I
mean,
it was tough.
Okay, so on that then, obviously it's the financial news who want that, right? So my question is, do you feel that L is strong enough on its own to catch the variables of reporting? Or is there something else like that's an integratable feature that's like NetSuite, but it's more for this?
So we do have something that's like the equivalent of NetSuite-ish. It's called Restaurant 365. But what I would rather do is run through all of the reporting that's already built into the system, because it is pretty good. There's also the BevSpot aspect. BevSpot is just a reporting tool that is made for the restaurant industry. So what I'll do is I'll also create a referral for you, because we offer BevSpot, I think the basic version free. And that's for like all of your liquor management and everything else, but they can go really deep into reporting. They're probably going to be the best partner when it comes to that aspect. I don't think you need to go through a whole kind of restaurant ERP and this massive setup. If this was a long-term thing, like you guys were, this is a permanent installation and it's going to be here for the next 25 years, it would be worth it. But from my understanding, these are going to be temporary to semi-temporary. Or these here forever?
These are, well, the beverage piece, 5 to 10 years. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so can BevSpot do... Okay, so step one is the reporting that's built into L with BevSpot enough? Exactly. And those are also things that we can tack on afterwards. Like, I know that we always want to get everything right the first time, but this is kind of brand new as well. So it's like, all right, let's give it a few months. Do we need more? Yes. Okay, Tristan, we need more reporting, or we need more X, we need more Y. And then we can go down those rabbit holes as needed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'll send you 2 videos. One is for quick serve. One is for, actually, I'll send you the full service because you guys are going to have a few tables. Okay, I'll send it as the YouTube video so that you can send it out to whoever.
Okay, quick serve. What was the second video? I'm sorry, you were going to tell me.
Yeah, so there's full service and quick service. Quick service is really just like grab your food and go. Okay. Full service has the tables and everything else, so I'll send you that one because it's going to cater more to what you guys need.
Okay, thank you, Tristan. I appreciate you.
No problem. We'll talk soon.
I see you. Bye.
All right, bye.
Okay.